second, please? Okay, go ahead.
The most important thing about the antique business today is that, like every other business in the world, it has been vastly affected by the internet. It used to be if you had a local shop, things were unusual, things were rare, hard to find. Not the case anymore. With the internet, there are thousands and thousands of things. Many times prices have gone down rather than up because of the internet. Two things I always use in this example of things that have gone down: Hummels and cut glass. We need to break about half that exist in the world. Royal Doulton figures, another thing. Royal Doulton are interesting. The old ones, yes, people like. Prices have gone up on those because the new ones they do are so dreadful. They're absolutely awful. Internet is interesting because if you go to sell, you're exposing yourself to the entire world, literally. A friend of mine this past summer was at a garage sale. She's a dealer. She saw a book lying on the table that had a red velvet cover, which attracted her. Said to the man, you know, how much do you want for the book? He said 50 cents. She paid her 50 cents. When she got it home and looked at it, it had been written by the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1939. And it was a story of how he had cured his own addiction and what he foresaw as the future of Alcoholics Anonymous. She bought a few other things at various sales, and as she said, she thought she would be lucky if everything went for $10 a piece. She listed it all. She was so depressed about it that she didn't bother looking at her computer for 2 days. And as she says, she thought the computer was broken when she turned it on. The book was at that point at $2,000. Ended up going for $4,200. Things are out there. If you're interested in antiques, one of the magazines which is very good about antiques is Victoria Magazine. Another one is a British publication called Homes and Antiques. I love Homes and Antiques. It is well worth the price. They send it out from Idaho, actually, so you don't have to worry about the price coming over from England. Homes and Antiques has many, many articles in it. You can spend a good hour reading it. One of the things I like best about it is it tells you things to sell, things to hold on to, and most important, things to buy. They also do a lot of auction information. Their highlight in June, this month right now, was about a woman who went to, in England, rummage sales are called jumble sales. Went to a jumble sale at her church, saw an interesting looking evening gown, asked them how much they wanted. They said £2. So she paid the £2. She got it home and looked at it. On the inside, which was clearly evident but nobody had bothered paying attention to it, was a Chanel label. She took it to an auction house in London that just deals with clothing. Turned out to be an original Chanel from 1927. Think Downton Abbey. Lady Mary and Downton Abbey, all of her clothes were, believe it or not, were original. And most of them were Chanel. Anyway, she paid her £2. She got £42,000 when it went for auction. So, as I always say, you beat the bushes hard enough, there are still plenty of things out there. Garage sales and rummage sales, they're great. I mean, you may have to go to 10 garage sales and get 2 things that are worth buying. It's always the hunt is the most important thing to most people. It's almost better than the results. We have some interesting things here tonight. I'm going to start with these walking sticks. They're both wonderful. One is dated 1865. They have a 14-karat band on them, and they both have an ivory handle. Problem with, these are dated, so you don't have to worry about it. The problem with ivory now is there is huge fire resistant. People are, the shop I'm connected with, people just will not buy it. No matter how nice it is, they leave it alone. So much so that we have stopped taking ivory as a thing to sell, actually. And these are lovely. The United States government has also cracked down on ivory. You have to be able to prove that your ivory was made before 1976. Otherwise, it can be seized. Philadelphia Orchestra had a huge problem last year. They went abroad, and when they came back in, the violinists had, of course, had old violins. They had ivory, and they had a very hard time with customs getting them back into the country. As a matter of fact, a man brought a piano over from Japan. It had to be sent back to Japan. They would not allow it into the country. So ivory is one of those things there's bioresistance to. These, however, are lovely. This one especially is carved. As I said, they have wonderful, the gold bands on them are fabulous. There are a lot of walking stick collectors out like these. These would sell in a flash. The one that is carved, I'm going to say a value of $350, and this one a value of $300. They're fabulous. Very, very nice. I think they're the nicest walking sticks. We see a lot of them. These are the nicest two that we've ever seen. Here we have an Eastlake chair that dates about 1870, right after the decade after the Civil War. It has an old repair in it. This was a style chair that was extremely popular. Sears catalog had this style, as a matter of fact. The arms are the way they are. People say, well, why are the arms so low? It's because ladies with their full skirts at the time could not sit in a regular armchair, so arms were reduced to this. Little as is, not a great deal of value, around $50 or so. As I said, the problem is there's so many of this particular kind. Here we have, this is English. It's really, really interesting. A flower frog, and interesting enough, with the polar bear on top, probably dating from the 1930s or so.